newspaper.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Some breaking news. Two more packages found at what post offices, one in Florida, one in New York, one addressed to Booker, one addressed to Clapper.
Yep, the facility in Florida discovered the suspicious package less than a half hour ago, and it was addressed to Senator Cory Booker, and the other one in a Manhattan post office, and that was addressed to James Clapper.
Well, it's good that they're catching these packages at the postal office level, that they've obviously got a profile on the packages being sent. That I think the reporting is that there's similar packages.
Similar packaging, and they're treating them all as suspected explosive devices. So that means, the robot moves in and takes possession of the explosive device or alleged explosive device, and they do their testing, and then they're all being sent to Quantico, Virginia, to the FBI crime lab.
Right, which makes sense. And then we talked to Brett Baer at the top of the 7 o'clock hour, saying that as far as he understands it, from the reporters have been talking to law enforcement from Fox, none of the bombs in these packages were able to be detonated. Again, that doesn't lessen the severity of the matter, but it's just an interesting point in terms of helping law enforcement zero in on, on the person or the parties responsible.
Yeah, but I just want to know, when do you think this is going to end?
No.
I mean, how many packages were sent? Is it the same person? Is it a group of people? They're working on all of that to figure out, the who, what, when, where, and hows.
Well, we'll keep you updated as more information becomes available, but we're going to stick to what we know to be true. Again, no conspiracy zone here on Chicago's Morning Answer, so if you want to offer wild speculation, take it somewhere else, frankly. There's so much that we know to be true, and there's so many important things to discuss in this context based on how this is being debated in this country. Don't want to entertain fact-free speculation. That's easy to do. Leave that to CNN. This is also interesting to note, just in terms of the respective coverage and the assignment of blame, because that's what the D.C. press corps is in the business of doing. They're in overdrive right now against Trump. The assignment of blame. Hate acts follow hate speech. Hate acts follow hate speech. It's past time for us to turn down and tune out the rabid rhetoric. That's Mitt Romney. You agree with that? Hate acts follow hate speech. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Because there's something problematic about Mitt Romney's fortune cookie rhetoric. And that is this definition. Hate speech is not speech you hate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So what exactly is hate speech, soon to be Senator Romney? It's one of those aphorisms that's easy for political hacks to throw out, but has real implications in our discussion. And how this is covered, assignment of blame. So, for example, if President Trump's criticisms of CNN are responsible for CNN receiving a package, then are CNN's criticisms of Trump responsible for the failed assassination attempts on President Trump, whether in Vegas during the campaign or more recently when a grand jury indicted a Utah man for sending ricin-laced letters to President Trump, Defense Secretary Mattis, Chief of Naval Operations Admiral John Richardson. Well, do you know about that? Did that get covered? Are all the Trump is a Nazi, Trump is Hitler, Trump is destroying this country, Trump has to be stopped, we'll do whatever it takes to stop Trump, all of the rhetoric coming from the left for the last 2 years? Are they responsible for William Clyde Allen III sending rice and lace letters to the president and military leaders? Did we have that discussion? I can't recall. If we did, I missed it. For more on this topic, as well as the caravan matter, we're pleased to be joined again by writer and editor of TheStream.org, author of the book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Immigration. John Zmirak joins us now. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Thank you. So, as now we've got two more packages discovered, one addressed to Booker, Senator Cory Booker, one addressed to James Clapper. What's your reaction to the discussion that's being had on cable news networks and within the halls of the D.C. press corps?
I think you're absolutely right that they're looking for a pretext to destroy the president and to silence free speech. These are the same people that took Julie Swetnick's charge that Brett Kavanaugh and Mark Judge were gang rapists, courtesy of Michael Avenatti. I would not be surprised if some sleazy operative like Avenatti were behind this, and that this was a false flag operation. I'm glad that none of these things went off. I think it's rather interesting that none of them even came close to going off, and some of them appear to have been specifically designed to be hoax devices, like Wile E. Coyote on Roadrunner. I think it's likely these are politically inspired hoaxes. If not, then I'm glad that whatever lunatic is behind them is incompetent at making explosive devices.
Well, what do you think about the fighting between CNN and President Trump? They'll say something, and then he tweets back at 3:14 a.m. this morning. Funny how lowly rated CNN and others can criticize me at will, even blaming me for the current spat of bombs and ridiculously comparing this to September 11th.
I think Trump is frustrated at the unbelievable, shameless bias of the press and is venting. And I think, his tweets have been one of the things that made this presidency succeed, because he's been doing an end run around the press. And think of it this way. We're in an age when Twitter will close down your account just because some random person complains to you and the person at Twitter dislikes your politics. They can't shut down Donald Trump because he's the president. They haven't been able to impeach him or annul the election. They can't shut him down, so they have to grit their teeth and put up with free speech. So every time Donald Trump tweets and irritates the media, I see it as a victory for free speech.
I just want to switch gears and get your take on the caravan. You've written the Politically Incorrect Guide to Immigration. I don't know if you have a chapter on caravans making their way up through Central America, but
no, but I do on the topic of fake refugee claims.
Okay.
All right, what's that?
Well, if you're a refugee, it means you're being persecuted by your government, and you're supposed to go to the first safe country that's willing to offer you refuge. These people weren't being persecuted by their government. They marched out in broad daylight carrying the flag of the country that was supposed to be persecuting them. That's not what happened when people fled in Hitler's Germany. When those boats full of Jewish people came to the U.S. and Franklin Roosevelt turned them around tragically, horribly, and they went back to Germany, and many of them were killed. That's refugees. People deciding, you know what? They don't pay enough here. I'm going north. That is not a refugee. That is an economic migrant. And if we allow people to thrust themselves into our country against our will and against our laws, waving their flag and arrogantly demanding that they have the right to come here, well, guess what? There are hundreds of millions more people in Latin America who will come. We will be empowering the human traffickers, the coyotes, the people who, as of now, rape 80% of the girls and young women who enter the United States illegally from Central America. 80% get raped by human traffickers. What do you think the message we send is if we take these people? Come on up. The water is fine. Take whatever risks you have to. pay the $5,000 to the drug cartels, put up with whatever they're going to do to you, because once you get to America, everything's going to be great, because guess what? The Democrats have lots of welfare programs, and they need your vote.
Well, and the Democrats, although they won't admit this at this time any more than they'll address whether or not the caravan should be allowed to enter this country 10 days before an election, they have a solution to your trafficking problem: just open borders and eliminate ICE.
That's right. They do absolutely have that plan. The Democrats have embraced the most radical, extreme position on immigration. That it's just unprecedented in American history, stunning compared to what Bill Clinton or Harry Reid or the old Hillary Clinton used to assert. The Democrats have decided that they're unhappy with the people, so they want to dissolve them and elect a new one. And as black people are starting to walk away from the Democratic Party, as Trump is getting the equally positive ratings among Hispanics that George W. Bush got, they're losing their hold on the people who've been living in failed democratic cities all these decades. Yeah. So they're just going to import new people, poorer people from Central American countries, from Mexico, who can easily be molded to live on the Democratic plantation.
So how do you see this ending? I mean, President Trump's going to have a travel ban along the Mexican border. He's sending active military members down there. What do you visualize happening?
Well, I think he can't let them in. I mean, if he has to set the Rio Grande on fire, as the Cuyahoga River once was, this has to be stopped. I mean, there is absolutely no condition under which one of these people can be allowed to come in. We cannot reward this kind of behavior. If he did let them in, every one of them will cost us $50,000 to litigate their fake refugee claims. By the way, most of them, they've all been offered refuge in Mexico, and they've all said no. That right there invalidates their refugee claim. But we shouldn't have to spend $50,000 litigating against a lawyer hired by George Soros for each one of them if they even show up for their hearings. So if Trump lets them in, he will lose the midterm elections and undergo 2 years of impeachment trial. A show trial in the Congress. He will lose the upcoming November 6th national impeachment referendum, which is what I'm calling the midterm elections. If he holds absolutely firm, I think he will be able, right after the midterm, he'll be able to find the money for a wall. I think there will be a surge of support, and he will be able to finally fund the wall and create a permanent structural solution to this. Then he has to reform our ridiculous asylum and refugee laws, which George W. Bush messed up in an attempt to portray himself as a compassionate conservative.
He is John Zmirak, writer and editor for thestream.org. The book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Immigration. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance.